3 decades, the Detroit Pistons struggled to find success in the NBA. Despite having stars like Dave DeBusschere, Dave Bing, and Bob Lanier, the Pistons could never achieve their ultimate goal. It took a small and feisty point guard from Chicago to finally bring a championship to the Motor City. This week, it's Isiah Thomas on Vintage NBA.
2 seconds, 1 second. West throws it up. He makes it.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in.
Oh, spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Yes, basketball has changed. It's always been a great game, but now it has a new spirit.
He dunks like Dr. J. He might be the new Iceman.
The modern day Wilt Chamberlain.
He looked like Magic Johnson.
The future has arrived.
You are watching what greatness is all about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vintage NBA. I'm Robin Roberts. Over the next hour, we'll spotlight one of the NBA's greatest point guards, Isiah Thomas. He was the heart and soul of the Detroit Pistons and the leader of their 2 championship teams. After retiring, he took his leadership skills to the front office as vice president of the Toronto Raptors. And one of his first moves was to draft a point guard very much like himself, Damon Stoudemire. Quite an honor for Damon, seeing that Thomas was one of his idols growing up. And this week, he's in the chair with his reflections on his former boss.
When the games would come on Sunday, we would have our little paper, pencil, and I kept Isiah's stats. I never told him that, but I kept his stats.
Oh, what a pass! Oh, that's the pass of the year.
For me growing up, watching him play was like the ultimate because he was, a short guy, somebody that I could look up to and somebody that I wanted to emulate, so I always was abreast on everything that happened with him.
Little guy gets it done.
Being in the league and being a small guy, you got to overcome a lot of stereotypes. He paved the way for a lot of us right now. He probably had to overcome more stereotypes than anything. At that time, when he was coming out of college, you had big guards, Michael Ray Richardson and those type of guys, and Isiah coming in being 5'11", 6 feet. That wasn't prototype. And to take him number 2 in the draft and to say this is our franchise player, that was a lot different from how the norm had been going. I mean, there's so many things that stick out in my mind when I think about him and the things that he did. One game sticks out, and I was watching on Classic Sports, and that's when they played Denver. And it was, I think, the highest scoring basketball game in the history of the NBA. And I think he must have had about 40 points.
Tries again. Makes again. He owns the night,
About 15 assists, 7, 8 rebounds. Just played the perfect game. It wasn't just, that he scored a lot and assisted a lot. It was how he did it. He did it so effortlessly.
It's like watching an artist work.
Lamb in double digits with 10 rebounds.
Oh, no.
Bounce to Lamb. He got it.
Oh, my goodness, I don't believe it.
And I have to put that up there as one of the top plays that I've seen a man do, period, in a game. That's instincts taking over, because most guys wouldn't even think about doing anything like that. What I've seen basically through the man's whole career was the will to win.
King went for the steal. Isiah, 3-point attack. He's got it. For time.
I think before you realized it, the game was tied, went in overtime, and then it's like you go back and, oh, he scored 16 points in a minute and a half, and you really didn't even realize it.
Here's Thomas. And the foul.
I remember that them points was on Darryl Walker, my old coach. That was amazing because it was so clutch. They needed every one of those buckets.
He is lighting this place up.
When you get older and understand what he was doing now, you understand what kind of work he had to put into to get to that level. When I was in Arizona, we played in Auburn Hills, and he was at the game, and he was in his usual spot, watching from the tunnel. And, I felt like somebody was eyeballing me the whole game, and, I looked at him, every time I made a little move or did something nice, I tried to look over there at him and see if he was looking at me. I was like, man, I wonder is he looking at me as, maybe drafting me.
The Toronto Raptors select Damon Stoudemire from the University of Arizona.
When I was coming out the draft that year, I was saying to myself, I was like, damn, if I slide to number 7, I mean, he got to pick me because he got to see similarities in our game. So I know he has to pick me.
Look at that pass. Oh, what a show.
Or to be able to walk in somebody's office that you idolized and emulated as a kid and just be able to talk to him, you know, pick his brain, that's probably going to be the best experience I've had playing in the NBA, was the 2.5 years I was able to work with him.
In their days with the Raptors, Thomas gave Damon advice on everything from shooting to passing to what to eat on game day. He even put a clause in Stoudemire's contract requiring him to attend the NBA Finals so he could see what it is he's trying to achieve. Few players achieved more than Isiah Thomas, and we'll check out some vintage Isiah when we return in just a moment.
Isiah gets by Magic. He's in the air. 18-foot jumper. Good! Oh, what a shot!
If he'd have been 5 inches taller, he might have been the greatest player that ever played the game.
Isiah in the lane, flying left hand scoop. He hit it off the window. Through the lane, leaning and scoring!
Isiah took responsibility for winning. He wanted to be the guy with the ball to win or lose in almost every single game.
Thomas on the drive. He makes this. Can you believe that shot?
From the playgrounds of Chicago to the NBA Finals, Isiah Thomas never backed down from a challenge. He was a fierce competitor who combined talent with determination and sheer will. Isiah first gained national attention by leading Indiana to the 1981 NCAA title. But when he arrived in the NBA, he faced the ultimate challenge, turning the last-place Pistons into champions. Throughout the 80s, Isiah led Detroit on their journey to the top and did it with a style all his own.
You know, once Isiah gets into his rhythm, he's unstoppable. Boy, he put on a one-man show.
Right side, way down to the floor. Comes in the lane, 10-footers on the way. He's awesome, baby!
Oh, my goodness. He was incredible.
Isiah gets by Magic. He's in the air. 18-foot jumper. Good! Oh, what a shot!
If he'd have been 5 inches taller, he might have been the greatest player that ever played the game.
Isiah in the lane, flying left hand scoop. He hit it off the window.
You can take what it is that you're doing out on the court and make a guy in the 15th row feel what you're doing. That's when you got something special.
Here's Isiah. Let's see what we got. All the way up. Go!
Isiah Thomas rose from poverty in West Chicago to become one of the greatest point guards of all time. Though he was just a shade over 6 feet tall, Isiah proved beyond doubt that a little man could not only play the game, but in many ways dominate it. His angelic smile and infectious enthusiasm captivated the fans just as much as his slick passing and wide variety of moves.
Thomas going to the basket. Oh, what a shot by Isiah.
But behind the baby face was the ferocious spirit of a man intent on winning.
I'm not shooting until the final second. If I make it, we win. If I miss it, we going into overtime. I ain't giving them a chance to shoot it again.
Winning the championship game, in my mind, that's successful. Everything else, you're just kind of a part of something.
I used to wear my ACC championship ring from Georgia Tech, and Isiah was like, I'm going to make you take that ring on, put a championship ring on that finger. I was like, yeah, all right. He said, I'm telling you. He said, just get on my back. We're going to get a championship ring.
The attempt to keep that promise came to define Isiah's career, and it would not be easy. When Thomas arrived in Detroit in 1981, the Pistons were dead last in the Eastern Conference. The league was dominated by the Lakers and the Celtics. To Isiah, the situation was more than a challenge, it was an opportunity.
The Lakers and the Celtics had the tradition. They seemed like they had the formula and everything was in place. And Magic and Larry just kind of, added to that. So if you wanted to learn how to win championships, that was the place where you went to study. It was like going to Harvard.
Years of hard work and endless practice followed.
Here's
getting closer and closer every year. They had a great basketball team. They were starting to come together. It was a learning stage for them.
Finally, study hall paid off. By 1987, Isiah and the Pistons were facing their arch rivals, the Celtics, in the conference finals.
Cornered Isiah, quickly to Adrian, and Hayes holds it up and in.
This was Isiah's moment, the one he'd been building up to for 6 seasons. The series was tied, and in the pivotal Game 5, the defending champions appeared vulnerable. With time running down, the Pistons were on the brink of taking a 3-2 lead back to Detroit.
Boston down 1.
Bird guarded by Mahorn, drives around him, and the ball gets knocked out of bounds by A. No, they call it the other way.
The Detroit ball with 5 seconds to go.
But as Thomas inbounded the ball, the unthinkable happened.
And now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the inbounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in.
Unable to recover, the Pistons went on to lose the series in 7.
It was a devastating night, but with all of that, those are the kinds of things I think you sometimes have to go through if you're in fact going to ascend to a championship level of play.
Not only did I have to re-energize and restore my own faith and confidence, I had to make this group believe, yeah, we missed it this time, but there's always next year when we can go after it again.
Isiah was more determined than ever. He led Detroit into the NBA Finals the following year, where they lost to the Lakers in 7 games. But in '89, they would not be denied, sweeping LA in 4 straight.
Thomas goes up, and Isiah Thomas having an incredible period. He has 30. Thomas. Detroit has just dominated this final period.
The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Zeke had kept his promise of a championship.
It feels like heaven. Like the Ohio player said, heaven must be like this. Heaven must be like this.
That title and another against Portland in 1990 were the crowning achievements in Isiah's career. And though they took a total team effort, there was never any doubt who led the Pistons into battle.
And you see when we won championship, he was the guy that people were lifting up. Finally, he got from being the guy with the weight on his back to being lifted by the guys he was holding.
Pistons the other way. Kid inside the flying scoop, and he scores and he's fouled.
But it was far more than glory alone that kept Thomas playing.
The best part of the game was the game. Ain't nothing like being in beside those 4 lines and doing your thing. Ain't nothing like it. Nothing.
Isiah retired with 2 championships, 12 All-Star selections, and a place among the NBA's 50 greatest players. But even after he left the court, Zeke never really left the game. He has stayed involved in basketball through a variety of roles, including management and broadcasting. More on Isiah coming up in just a bit. But first, a look at what was making news in 1990, the year the Pistons won their 2nd consecutive title. Welcome back, everyone, to Vintage NBA. During the 1980s, Isiah Thomas wasn't the only success story in Detroit. On NBA.com, the Vintage NBA page, we head back to the '84 season. While Thomas led the Pistons to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years, Michael Jackson was the king of Motown with his smash album, Thriller. Also cranking out hits was Detroit native Madonna. And in the auto world, Lee Iacocca helped Chrysler make a U-turn from near bankruptcy to prosperity. Meanwhile, Isiah brought his competitive drive to the Pistons, a drive he first developed on the playgrounds.
The way we play, you play 5-on-5 and the game went to 32. And if you lost, then chances are you wouldn't get back on the court for another hour because there are like 2 or 3 teams waiting to play. So you didn't go out there messing around. You went out to play, to be organized, to have some type of consistency in the way you were playing because you wanted to win.
During his illustrious career, Isiah was consumed with winning, something he proved while winning 2 NBA championships in Detroit. But he also spent much of his time in the 80s planning on how to compete and win in the world of business. Like other entrepreneurs, he started small with his own candy bar. He worked on leadership skills at the Detroit Thanksgiving Parade, though his job duties were a bit unclear.
I'm the Grand Marshal, whatever that means.
But Isiah wasn't coasting on that gig. He parlayed his basketball skills into a guest appearance on TV's Sesame Street, where he made some valuable contacts that led to his next business opportunity.
Thomas International.
As head of his very own television and film production studio, Thomas had found a perfect outlet to combine his multifaceted skills.
With the leverage that you have as an athlete and the leverage that you can have with a television station, if you can somehow pair the two together, then the things that you can go out in the community and do would be an awesome match.
Isiah was overseeing television and film projects geared toward youngsters in the Detroit area, while at the same time he was already formulating his next business venture.
I look to the future. My head is more geared towards life after basketball and where I'm headed after basketball. I want to be just as successful in the game of life as I've been in the game of basketball.
And for Isiah, the games of life and basketball would converge in 1995 when he took his next step on the corporate ladder. He would build an NBA team from scratch as the executive vice president of the expansion Toronto Raptors.
I've always loved this game. It kind of gets inside you and sticks there. Even after all my years in the NBA, I still love the sound of a basketball bouncing on the hardwood. My first NBA season was 14 years ago. It's funny, but now in Toronto, I'm getting ready for my first season all over again. I can't wait to start building a championship team. Let's do it together.
In his executive role with the Raptors, Isiah was responsible for just about every aspect of the team's operations, whether it was overseeing PR and marketing functions, preparing for the college draft, or dealing with player contracts. Thomas was the ultimate front office point guard.
You have a chance to make your mark in 2 countries, and you have a chance to make your mark in basketball in a way that very few people have had a chance to do. And I'm enjoying the challenge.
And if there's anyone who knows about challenges, it's Isiah. He faced plenty of them during his playing days, especially in Game 6 of the '88 Finals against the LA Lakers. Up next, we'll relive one of his most memorable moments when Thomas fought through the pain of an injury to deliver one of the greatest performances in finals history. In 1988, Isiah Thomas and the Pistons finally got past their arch rivals, the Celtics, in the Eastern Conference Finals. But to win the NBA title, they'd have to beat the other powerhouse of the 80s, the Lakers. Detroit led 3-2 heading into Game 6. But taking that final step proved to be far more difficult than they could have ever imagined. From the Airwave Archive, it's June 19th, 1988. The Lakers lead by 6 early in the second half. Let's head to the Great Western Forum and join Dick Stockton and Billy Cunningham.
Well, they go to AC Green.
And he goes right around everyone.
An excellent choice, I might add.
56-48. 8-point lead, biggest of the game for the Lakers. Just about a minute going by in the third period. Thomas from Dantley and a foul against the Lakers. Kareem was right in there. Let's see if he gets called for it. Or Green. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his second.
Chuck Daly just grabbed Bill Laimbeer over to the bench and was just all over him, saying, are you going to start playing, get into the ball game, or what?
Isiah Thomas on the line. He had 9 points in the first quarter, including a 3-point shot, only 4 since then. Thomas, the new father, has delivered in this series despite a back injury and largely has played under control. Magic looking for Worthy. He has found him so many times in this series. Kareem backing in against Rick Mahorn with the sky hook. Laimbeer, outlet pass stolen by Scott. And the Pistons recover. Almost a careless outlet pass by Laimbeer. Thomas puts on the burners, a looping shot. Second effort. And Isiah Thomas brings the Pistons to within 4. He's got 16 to lead Detroit. Crowd a little antsy right now.
Yeah, we see the Lakers not able to continue what they were doing well in that second period.
Magic fouled. A stop and start go.
Now here's Isiah missing the shot, but we see no Laker going after the rebound. He's able to pick it up and just, well, hit a 3-foot jump shot.
Foul is on Rick Mahorn, his third personal foul. In many ways, it's hard to get the Pistons individually into foul trouble with the 4 men coming off the bench, and they have a lot of fouls to give, so when Mahorn has 3, that's not a serious problem.
And he can play a very aggressive game out here defensively against Jabbar, knowing that there's a John Sally or a Dennis Rodman that can come off the bench.
Isiah Thomas hits again, and Thomas now has 6 of the 8 points scored by the Pistons in this third period. 2 minutes gone by, and it's a 58-54 game. Now Worthy isolated against Dantley. Dumars doesn't go for Magic's bait. And Worthy hits it outside. What a game for James Worthy. He is coming back in multiples in this one. Thomas comes back and hits again, but he's the hot man on the floor.
Well, he's just carrying this Piston team offensively at this point.
He has scored the last 8 points for the Pistons, who trail by 4 still. Kareem with a short lefty hook. He has struggled from the field. He started with his first basket and missed 6 in a row before that hoop.
And now we see Chuck Daly has moved Dumars to the lead guard and Isiah to the shooting guard position.
Dumars off the mark, rebound by Green. Lakers looking to match their biggest lead of 8. Scott. Dumars. Let's see if the Pistons run it. They've got Thomas and Dantley on the wing. This is not their best running team in there, however.
Yeah, that last time, Dumars had no one playing him, and Dantley didn't give the ball up.
Dantley misses the line drive jumper. Pistons are not taking smart shots right now, other than Thomas a few times. In fact, Dantley's 1 for 4 in the game. Kareem. And Green nearly stole that rebound. 62-56. Thomas feels he's got a hot quarter, and who can blame him? He has 22 points, 10 already in this period, and we have only about 4 minutes gone by, Bill.
And now Byron Scott has got the challenge defensively, because that's the only one that's doing anything offensively for the Pistons.
Scott tries his hand offensively and hits. So Worthy and Scott have hit big baskets the last couple of times down. But here's Isiah, who has counted the last 10 points for the Pistons.
Well, he feels it. He just cleared Dantley over, looking to just go one-on-one.
Illegal defense against the Lakers. That's their first call. And Michael Thompson for the Lakers and John Sally for the Pistons come off the bench. Kareem goes out. He has scored 8 points.
Now, here's a great picture. Just watch them battling on the defensive boards, just checking people out.
Like
very physical in there.
Like a pinball machine.
Yep.
Isiah Thomas on an incredible tear. Has 12 of his 24 points this quarter.
And what happened there is he hit his knee against Isiah Thomas's knee, and that is just so painful. I would expect him to be all right in a minute or two.
Thomas with the foul, his second, and the teams go to their respective benches. And this is going to be a full timeout.
what the Pistons have to do is get some other people involved in the offense. Isiah Thomas will not be able to carry them offensively, especially with Michael Cooper dogging him at this point at the defensive end of the court.
Dantley out to Dumars. Two-man game right now. Adrian Dantley goes up and gets the hoop. Pistons are going to need someone other than Isiah Thomas to get some offense. Dantley in double figures now. Has taken only 5 shots. Isiah had scored 14 in a row. Michael Thompson hard off the glass. Thomas the rebound. He's got Dantley and Dumars. Goes to Dumars, who lays it in, and quickly the Pistons have cut the Laker lead to 4.
Isiah Thomas is hurt down on the court underneath the basket. I couldn't tell what happened.
Mike Abdenauer, the trainer, is with him, and now Thomas goes back down. Michael Thompson hit the basket, and the Pistons are going to have to call a timeout, and this one is a tough one. Because Isiah started to get up, he got up and then went down on the floor, and this is a tough one. Holding his right ankle, Billy.
I couldn't tell. He made that pass to Dumars. He might have come down on somebody's foot and twisted that ankle. Now here, we'll take a look, see what happens to Isiah. Yep, he steps right on Michael Cooper's foot, and that's how he twisted that ankle.
The Pistons, needless to say, are going to need his contributions one way or another.
Oh, sure are. And now what this means is that Vinnie Johnson, who struggled in that first period, has got to come in here and pick up where Isiah Thomas has left off. Yeah, look how that ankle is turned on the right side of your picture.
Dumars double-teamed in trouble. Gets it to Dantley. Dantley fired away. He had a lot more time on the clock. He had 10 seconds.
Absolutely. He must have thought that it was down to 2 or 3 seconds.
Under 4 minutes to go in the third. 72-66 Lakers. Green fouled inside, and it may be Sally. John Sally with his third personal. Pistons have been in the penalty. The Lakers have only 1 team foul to show for their efforts in this period.
This whole series, every game has been decided on which team is able to have that aggressive play at the defensive end of the court and also go to the basket strong when they have possession of the ball. And we see right now that Isiah is coming back in the ball game, but right now the Pistons are in the penalty and the Lakers have only committed 1 team foul.
Makes the free throws. Another home and away story. AC has averaged 13 rebounds at home and only 8 at the Silverdome. So they like the home cooking, although the home team hasn't won every game here. 8-point lead for the Lakers, 74-66. 3.5 remaining in this period. Thomas with a looper scores. Isiah's shooting eye still on. He has 16 points in the quarter, 28 in the game.
Yeah, but he's limping noticeably right now.
Guarding Michael Cooper. Getting banged in there. Couple of bodies banging, and another Piston foul.
Now here's Isiah beating Worthy, going up with that floating one-hander.
Rodman is in, so what kind of a team? You've got a shorter, you've got to still have a quick team in there, but they lose some height without Sally.
Well, what it means is Dennis Rodman will go to the power forward position, probably play against, well, he'll probably move to play Magic Johnson. We might see Vinnie Johnson matched up against AC Green. You know, there's a lot of things that Chuck Daly might try defensively to get his team going.
Thomas had committed the foul, his third. So a bunch of Pistons have 3 personal fouls. 76-68 Lakers. Their biggest lead has been 8. They've matched it a couple of times. Thomas off balance. Basket counts and a foul as he goes into the first row, and he is still limping. He is a game performer. He's got to be hurting and limping, and he continues to put the points on the board for Detroit.
Well, he just doesn't want to be out of this ball game. He knows that, hey, I can rest this ankle and heal it by the time we get ready for training camp. And here's that off-balance shot. You know, Michael Cooper does a good job defensively stopping the penetration.
Thomas showed up the other day, misses the free throw. He has 30 points. He has hit 8 of 10 baskets here in the third period, trying to keep the Pistons close. Only 3 Pistons have scored in this quarter. Steal by Thomas. Re-steal by Worthy. 2 alert plays inside. That'll get a rise out of the crowd. Worthy's finger roll. Rebound Dantley. Pistons down by 6.
Now, I just wonder, with Isiah limping so much, if they do get the opportunity to the Pistons to run, will they be able to, with him handling the basketball and favoring that ankle?
9 on the shot clock for Dantley and the Pistons. Quick double team. Dantley with a great spin move. What great abilities he has there. And it's 76-72. The Lakers lead is 4 as we get to the 2-minute mark of the third period. Double on Magic. Good swing to Cooper. Double Worthy. Now single with Laimbeer. Lost the ball. Vinnie Johnson, 3-on-2, Pistons. Rodman banks it off the glass, and it's a 4-point game with 1:45 remaining, or 2-point game, make it, with a 1:40 now left. Timeout Lakers, 22nd timeout called by Pat Riley.
And now it's time for the Lakers to regroup, because they are not playing anywhere close to at the level they did in that second period.
They're shooting 41% here in this period. Michael Thompson is hit hard and fouled by Rodman. And for Rodman, that'll be his 3rd foul. Not a bad foul for Rodman, because Thompson was close in.
Well, what we're seeing now is the Lakers are taking advantage of that switch on that pick and roll when Magic Johnson either has the big man on him or the small guard is playing their center, Michael Thompson in that case, and either penetrating or getting the ball inside.
Barbara Streisand. Erasmus Hall High School, Billy. Same as yours.
Yeah.
Huh? I thought you would have come out with that real fast.
I know. I'm
You're busy looking at the Laker trap.
Yeah, watching the trap.
Thomas goes for 3 and hits it. What a third quarter for Isiah Thomas. He has scored 21 points here in the third to bring the Pistons all even at 77. Nearly a minute to go in the period. It's been the Isiah Thomas show, plus an injury to Thomas here in the third.
And Byron Scott sitting on the bench for the Lakers.
Worthy against Rodman, left-handed shot. And the Lakers, now the Pistons with Rodman. 2-on-1, Thomas goes up. And Isiah Thomas having an incredible period. He has 35 in the game, 23 in this period. And the Pistons have regained the lead, 79-77 after trailing by 8.
And the thing about Isiah Thomas, he's limping on every play. He is just showing so much heart and determination for the Pistons.
AC Green in the corner hits the shot to break the spell and tie the game. But now the Pistons will play for the last shot of an all-even game. Isiah Thomas has put on a brilliant exhibition of shooting despite an ankle injury in this third quarter. He has been a one-man gang. 23 points. And the shot is good by Thomas. It is 81-79. The period is over. Can you imagine the great performance, maybe one of the best we've ever seen in one quarter in NBA Finals history?
I remember laying there on that floor, you know, wincing in pain, not about the pain that I was feeling in my ankle, but about the pain of seeing my dream kind of like slip through my hands because of a physical ailment. Once I got up and started to play, I just found myself kind of outside of myself, watching myself play. Everything just came together, all the skills, everything that you had practiced on. It's like your game just totally becomes tight, concise, and you just kind of levitate out of your body and you just float.
Isiah Thomas with an out-of-body experience at the NBA Finals. Whatever it was working for him because he put on a remarkable show. Despite a badly sprained ankle, Isiah scored a finals record 25 points in the third quarter. But late in the fourth, the Pistons still trail by 1. A victory earns them the championship. A loss sends the series to a 7th and deciding game. So let's go back to L.A. for the final moments.
Thomas, Dumars, Laimbeer, Dantley, and Rodman for Detroit. Magic, Byron Scott, Worthy, Kareem, and Green for the Lakers. They have 16 seconds on the shot clock. Hits one over Magic Johnson from the baseline.
I was just going to say a bad shot by Isiah because Laimbeer was wide open, but he's got the feeling that he's going to have to carry this ball club, and he's doing a great job of it out here.
43 points, 100 to 99, and a defensive play by Rodman there on the block. Detroit with 1:13 to go, leading by 1. Critical possession right here for the Pistons.
Even more critical for the Lakers. They've got to stop them at the defensive end.
Dumars sees an opening, goes up and draws the foul with 1 minute remaining, and Joe Dumars will go in. Look at Rodman's defense.
Now Dennis Rodman has done such a job defensively and on the offensive boards for this Piston team in the second half.
John Sally is going to replace Adrian Dantley, who goes out with 14 points.
And the reason for that substitution is Chuck Daly's going with his defense, and Rodman and Sally are the two best defensive forwards.
Dumars has not been on the line today. Foul was on Kareem, his 5th. 5 on Kareem, and the Pistons lead 101 to 99. Exactly 1 minute left, and Pat Riley will likely call a timeout after the free throw. Lakers have 3 left. Dumars makes them both. It's 102 to 99, and timeout Lakers. Could you imagine if you're the Pistons and if you're Chuck Daly, 57 years old, you're 1 minute away from winning a world championship. Cooper will inbound for the Lakers. He's in for AC Green.
Ooh, almost stolen by Isiah Thomas.
Worthy against Sally. Scott pulls up, hits a big one, and it's 102 to 101 now. Scott with a basket with 52 seconds to go.
And now if you're the Pistons, well, Chuck Daly's going to call a timeout and try to make sure they get a good shot at the offensive end of the court.
That will leave the Pistons with only 1 timeout. So if they fall behind, that could be a critical situation for them. But right now he has the lead and wants to make sure this possession counts.
Now here's a big hoop by Byron Scott. Just going up, 2 defenders on him, able to knock it in. And look at Chuck Daly, just once stopped them. That's what he's saying over there. Oh.
Inbounds to Laimbeer. Dumars. They've got 13 on the shot clock. AC Green has come in for Kareem, similarly for the Lakers. Laimbeer in the corner to Thomas, 6 on the clock. Cooper won't let him away. Thomas looking for room with a fallaway shot. No good. Worthy has the rebound and the timeout with 27 seconds to go. And the Lakers with an opportunity, down by 1 to take the lead. .27 seconds to go, 23 on the shot clock. So there is a 4-second differential as the Lakers, trailing by 1, try to set up the play that they hope will give them the lead and Game 6. Rodman is guarding Magic. Worthy setting a screen. Picked up by Sally on a switch. Kareem. The old man goes up and misses the shot, but goes to the line with 14 seconds to go and a chance to give the Lakers the lead. Bill Laimbeer has fouled out of the game. That's number 6.
Now, I just wonder what Chuck Daly's going to do. Is he going to call a timeout or not if Jabbar makes both foul shots? Because they might want to look to attack them right away and not allow the Lakers to set up their defense.
The game is tied.
You think there's any pressure standing at that foul line now?
He's seen it all, hasn't he?
And he's done it all.
Timeout. Detroit, they've used their last timeout here. They have 14 seconds to set it up. A chance to win the title, or for the Lakers, a chance to stop the Pistons in one last defensive stand and send this to a 7th game. Dantley will inbound. They have no timeouts left. 13, you watch the clock. Dumars misses. Loose ball. Lakers have it with 6 seconds to go, and the Pistons are forced to foul with 5 left. Here's the story. Scott is on the line. If he makes both free throws, Detroit has to get it up in a hurry and try a 3 to tie the game. Now that could change Detroit's plan a little bit, because the free throw would give them a 2-point lead.
Now, one thing is, if you can get the ball to Isiah Thomas, he has plenty of time to get down the court and get a decent shot for the Pistons.
5 seconds to go. The key, no timeout for Detroit. Missed them both. 3 seconds.
They won't have time.
It's over. We go to game 7. A sensational individual effort by Isiah Thomas, who scored 43 in the game and 25 in the third quarter. Right now, let's go to Pat O'Brien. Pat?
You guys like 7 games this year? 7-game series this year?
I think. I guess so, you know. It's kind of tough, though. But you know what? I'm happy to be playing 7. It's what it's all about. I should pay the NBA or CBS for letting me play 7 games.
All right, there's Magic. He's happy. Let's go to Brent.
All right, Pat, thank you. Isiah Thomas turned in one of the clutch performances here, but it was not to be in Game 6. Isiah, your reaction to what happened at the end of the game?
You know, we missed a couple of key blockouts. You know, little things hurt us tonight, but we got another game Tuesday. Just come back and play hard again. Try to keep them under 100 and win the basketball game.
Isiah, which of your many injuries almost kept you out of the game? We had an ankle, we had an eye problem.
I'm playing.
Isiah was able to play in Game 7, but the Lakers still defeated the Pistons to repeat as champions. And Thomas called it the toughest thing he ever had to accept in his career, mainly because he thought Detroit had the better team. But even in defeat, it was a defining moment in his career. He said losing to the Lakers helped teach the Pistons how to win. And they learned their lessons well, because the next year they swept the Lakers in the finals to win their first title. Up next, a look at Isiah's legacy as one of the game's greatest little men. We'll be right back. Isiah Thomas made his mark on the game in many different ways. He revitalized the Pistons and helped shape the NBA of the 80s. But he also challenged the notion that basketball is a game for big men. At barely over 6 feet tall, Isiah proved that NBA guards come in all shapes and sizes. There were other small players who made it big, like 5'9" Calvin Murphy of Houston. The pocket rocket tormented opponents with his shooting and his speed. Also proving height was no object was Hall of Famer Nate Tiny Archibald. Unstoppable in the open court, he led the league in both scoring and assists in 1973. Another pint-sized point guard from the 70s was Ernie D. Gregorio of the Buffalo Braves. Ernie D. was known for his flashy passing skills. In the 80s, Kevin Johnson arrived and raised the bar even higher for the smaller players as he boldly invaded the paint and started dunking on the big guys. And you can't forget about 5'6" Spud Webb, who shocked the house at All-Star Weekend in 1986 when he dared to win the slam dunk competition. Then, of course, Muggsy Bogues, the shortest player in NBA history at 5'3", who defied all the odds and became one of the league's most popular players. Despite all those great little guys, it was often the big men who took home the championship trophies, like Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But Isiah Thomas proved you didn't need a dominating center. You could win a title with a point guard leading the way. Today, a good point guard is one of the first things every team looks for, and some of them have drawn comparisons to Isiah.
You got guys like myself, Terrell Brandon, Damon Stoudemire, Tim Hardaway. If you didn't idolize and want to be like Isiah, then you wasn't a guard.
Currently in the league, if there's anybody that resembles Isiah, I would have to say it's Allen Iverson. You know, because he's reckless, he'll go to the hole.
I've seen Isiah dunk on a couple big men, and Allen Iverson dunks on big men all the time.
So looks to drive, pulls up in the paint, too strong. No! Allen Iverson! Are you kidding me?
quick footnote on Allen Iverson. He became the shortest player ever to win an NBA scoring title. We'd like to know what you think about Isiah Thomas and his legacy. You can reach us on NBA.com. And while you're there, check out a chat with Isiah for his opinion on who's the best guard in the league today, and also how he got the nickname Zeke. We'll be right back. In 1994, Isiah Thomas retired after 13 brilliant NBA seasons. The following year, the Pistons paid tribute to their greatest player by retiring his number 11 jersey. He'll go down in history as maybe the best little man ever to play the game. And though he may have been small in stature, no one had a bigger heart, and few players made a bigger impact than Isiah Thomas. Thanks for joining us, everyone, here on Vintage NBA. I'm Robin Roberts, and we'll look for you again next week. Take care.